Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of What You Readin'. People ask me all the time, as a big-time professional, world-renowned, world-celebrated comic book writer, known wherever he goes. I can't even walk down the street anymore. No one will stop me, ask me about the creation of Bane. Uh, but seriously, people do ask me, as a writer, what do you read? What do you read when you're not writing? And so here I am to give you my 2 cents. I just finished this book, Conspirata by Robert Harris. Robert Harris is probably best known for writing the book Fatherland and the book Enigma, both of which were turned into excellent movies. Harris is always a treat. Always writes a compelling, gripping thriller, but it's also intelligent, always intelligently written, and I always learn a lot reading stuff by Robert Harris. He's written a previous novel about the lead character in this novel, the orator and famous senator and consul of Rome, Cicero. Cicero, who to this very day we still quote. Cicero is still often cited by governments and politicians around the world for his thoughts on primarily the formation and continuation of republics. He was very much a Republican Roman, opposed to despotism and dictatorship, opposed to Rome having a king, and definitely in opposition to a particularly famous upstart. Harris's meticulously research book is told from the point of view of a slave who was a scribe for Cicero, basically his personal assistant and personal secretary, witness to everything in Harris's mind that was going on with Cicero at the time, and a lot was going on. Rome was engaged with a war with Parthia that lasted decades. Parthia being, where like Syria or Iraq and places like that are now, ruled by a king called Mithridates. And Mithridates, he was a long line of Mithridates, but this particular Mithridates was celebrated, actually respected by the Romans. They said something of him that you could say of few Roman enemies. He died old. Mithridates was a thorn in the side of the Roman Empire at the time. It was kind of their Vietnam, but they emerged victorious because of a general named Pompey. And this sort of throws off the balance of power in Rome, because Rome is now under threat because Pompey is so popular, so victorious. He has this enormous army, the largest army ever gathered by the Roman Empire, who are insanely loyal to him because of his string of victories. And he could very well come back to Rome and just take the place over very easily. And the mob would be all about that. And this whole book is about the struggle between the senators in the Republic, who were for the Republic, who were Republicans, and populists. And we get to meet lots of characters in what is ostensibly a political thriller. We get to meet Cato, who another Roman senator and philosopher still quoted today, arch libertarian Cato, who and so much of this book, because politics are eternal, and human nature has not changed since the time of the Romans. A lot of this book reflects political struggles going on now between Republicans and libertarians and populists. We see this in the news right now in our very lives. And among the populists that we meet are Mark Antony, who does not come off very well in this book. From Cicero's lights, he's just a toady to a much more dynamic, much more overshadowing figure in the novel, Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar is not popular in the Senate, but he has his allies. And he, like Cicero, is a master politician, moving people around like figures on a chessboard. But what Caesar is a populist, and a populist controls the mob. And if you control the mob, you're a dangerous political figure, because we're talking about Roman politics. I usually have no time for political thrillers because there's no real consequences. One side wins, one side loses the election. Who cares? But in Roman politics, if you lose the election or you lose a trial, you very well end up dead. The favored form of execution in the time period of this novel, the time of Cicero, is strangulation. That you would just be taken down into a pit, the carcer, and strangled by the chief executioner. Just have a rope tied around your neck and strangled to death. This is horrible. But this was and this is very much a thriller. Through much of the novel, Cicero and his family, their lives are in danger because of the political enemies that they've made, and Cicero's managing to move himself through this minefield of alliances and grievances and enemies, and to try to do what he felt was best for Rome. But of course, he's a man, he's a human, he's flesh and blood, and so often his decisions benefit himself. And a lot of the conflict in the novel is, will he just succumb to being just another corrupt politician, or will he continue to hold on to his principles, even though they might end up getting him strangled or crucified, or simply murdered in his sleep by the mob? And it's a hell of a book. It potentially, this could be a very dry ball book of just people yapping and talking and everything else. And the dialogue and talking in the book is fantastic. There's funny scenes. There's a lot of ironic scenes. We're exposed to quite a bit of terrific political rhetoric, and we get to see Cicero. Harris really brings Cicero's debating style on the Senate floor to life. Gestures and phraseology and tactics still used by politicians to this day are on display here, and just a fantastic read. I would recommend any book Harris wrote, but I would definitely recommend Conspirata if you're into excellent period historical fiction. And that's it for me. I will keep reading, and I hope you keep listening. And